This story is about a journey through the beautiful Bandipur, a forest that is not just home to elephants and bears, but also to India's top big cats like tigers and leopards. We will explore the forest's landscape, its diverse bird life, and a variety of other wildlife that roam freely. The video of this journey is shot in 6K quality, offering a stunning visual experience. Like before, we had booked a package that included both the safari and the stay at the Jungle Lodge Resort in Bandipur. This is the resort compound, which is government-owned property. In Karnataka, this particular place has packages that offer both safari and stay, which are usually well organized, ensuring comfort. The room was not particularly luxurious, but offered a decent and comfortable stay. After checking in at around 3 p.m., we set out for our first safari. When we think of forests in South India, Bandipur stands out as a prime example. While it's lush and green at this time of the year in December, if you visit between February and May, the forest turns into a dry landscape, resembling a scene of a fire-damaged area. During that period, the forest becomes dry and even the trees are devoid of leaves. We had previously made a video showcasing the dry state of Bandipur during that time. As we enjoy the lush greenery of the forest and the trees, there is a creature that often hides in the branches, an owl known as the brown fish owl. This fish hunter typically perches on the edges of the river or lakes. During the day, it rests, but at night, it comes alive to hunt for fishes. Its movements are incredibly quiet, with no sound except for a subtle variation. The presence of this monogamous bird is not that rare, though it can be elusive. So, we are continuing our journey. There was a light rain yesterday, making the path a bit muddy. Normally, the forest begins to dry out in December, but this unexpected early rain has kept the greenery lush and vibrant. As we make our way through Bandipur searching for sightings, we spotted a large tusker ahead of us. On the path, although it does not look massive at first, we do notice its tusks. The animal appears calm and its focus seems to be entirely on grazing. One day, it requires about 150 kilos of constantly feeding grasses. Hence, most times, we can notice it grazing. In Kerala, these animals are not that rare, though generally they are not as common. They are listed in the IUCN's orange category. These creatures are more commonly found in the Western Ghats and the Northeast. However, seeing them in this particular spot is still considered rare. Outside of Karnataka, reaching as far as Kashmir, these animals are not found at all, which is the reality. The Bandipur Mudumalai area is one of the most extensive forests in south of India. As we drove along the road, we were likely to spot elephants. As we continued forward, a group of spotted deer became alert and started moving cautiously. Their attention focused, which made us hopeful of seeing something else nearby. Suddenly, a leopard appeared, but due to the dense grasses and bushes, it quickly disappeared from the view. A little later, we spotted the leopard again, this time perched in the branches of a tree quietly observing us. This is a female leopard, approximately 6 to 7 years old. Since it currently has a cub that is 6 months old, the leopard has been staying in the same place for a longer period of time. Typically, at around 1.5 years old, leopards start to become independent from their mothers and begin living on their own. However, this particular leopard still spends time with its mother, which is unusual as they typically part away at this age. Since leopards spend most of the time in tourism and safari areas, the chances of spotting a leopard during a safari are much higher. This leopard is a well-built, true to its name. It is a beautifully majestic creature. However, we only saw it for a brief moment. It seemed like the leopard was taking a break, possibly after feeding. Since there was no significant movement, we decided to move on. While certain animals like spotted deer are common in South Indian forests, sambar deer are not as frequently seen. Along the side of the road, we spotted a sambar deer. It was an incredible sight, and with the sharpness of our new camera, we could clearly capture every detail in the visuals. Using our Nikon Z6 III camera, we are able to shoot in the 6K quality. It's not just the resolution that stood out. The stabilization and the focus speed were exceptional as well. The color tone, particularly for wildlife, is unique to Nikon's visuals. Along with the camera, we were using a 180-600 mm lens to capture this amazing moment. Did you notice that only one antler of this sambar deer was visible? Nobody is breaking it or no accidents happen. The antlers fall off after some period of time and new ones grow very soon. Usually, there aren't many grasses and bushes along the safari route. In a year, the grasses and bushes are cleared 2 to 3 times. During September, the grasses were cut and cleared. However, with the continuous rain, the grasses has grown back again. As we approached across the side of a pond and stopped the vehicle, we noticed a kingfisher darting out of the bushes, catching a fish. It was fascinating to watch. Compared to other larger species of kingfishers, this was relatively small. Next, we spotted a serpent eagle. These eagles are often found in the forest stories, and it's possible to spot them in various areas. This looks like a subadult. As we explored the forest regions and enjoyed the lush greenery, we noticed a bear moving around and feeding on mud and small creatures living beneath it. When walking along the forest paths, the bear is definitely one of the animals we need to be cautious about. While leopards and tigers might flee when they see humans, bears are more likely to approach and even attack if they feel threatened. The chance of bear attacking is relatively higher than that of a tiger or a leopard. In the Bandipur, Mudumalai, Masanagudi area, this is where you are most likely to spot bears. Unlike tigers, which are an agile and powerful predators, bears like the sloth bear are less aggressive but still formidable. They can live up to around 40 years, unlike more elusive tiger. The bear is checking for creatures and food near the tree bark. You can spot a bird like myna perched nearby. The myna is commonly found alongside the bear. Despite being close, the bear doesn't seem to mind the myna's presence at all. With its body fully covered in fur, it's hard to tell the gender of the bear just by looking at it. The bears typically mate during the months of June and July. After mating, the female has a gestation period of around 7 months and usually gives birth to 1 or 2 cubs. Due to this solitary nature, the mother bear is responsible for protecting and caring for the cubs until they are fully grown. Although bears sometimes feed on mud and creatures beneath it, they are generally not meat eaters. However, when opportunity arises, they will eat meat, especially if they are hungry. They feed on rotten meat. In the forests, all the living beings have natural enemies, but as for bears, they don't face any threats in the forest. They are not typically attacked by other animals, but if a tiger were to appear, it could pose a danger and potentially attack the bear. In fact, there was a famous tiger in Bandipur known for its encounters with bears. This tiger, referred as the Karadi male or the bear male, is particularly known for its interactions with the bears. The safari package we took is a 3-hour safari, typically lasting around 3 hours, usually in the early mornings or late afternoons. Currently, the safari is done for 2 hours, with the time being around 5 p.m. right now. On the side of the pond, a samba deer was grazing. As mentioned in the previous episodes, the mark on the neck of this samba deer is not a wound. It occurs naturally due to the hormonal changes. Both males and females can have this. Similarly, due to the hormonal changes, their fur sometimes shed. Myna birds are often seen around them, perhaps feeding on insects or small creatures stirred up by the deer's movement. The forests on the Bandipur Wayanad side, there are plenty of spotted deers, but they are not found in every forest in Kerala. For example, in large forests like Periyar, there are no spotted deers, but you will find samba deers. When you see them, their size becomes quite evident. Some can weigh up to 300 kilos. These samba deers can live up to 25 years. When they stopped the vehicle, we spotted a giant wood spider on the side of the road. This one was a female and it was quite large. Interestingly, male giant wood spiders are much smaller. Initially, when we saw samba deer, we noticed its antlers. Similarly, spotted deer also have antlers, and they fall off quite after some time. We then moved to the spot where we had earlier seen the leopard. When we got there, we noticed it had moved slightly lower down and there was nothing visible outside. We waited for about 15 minutes, but it didn't appear again. This particular leopard is one of the most beautiful we have seen in south of India. and it has a certain regal presence about it. This is the black-dumped flameback, a type of woodpecker, and the Malabar woodpecker can be found in similar areas. At first glance, it's hard to tell the difference between the two. Look, an elephant is walking towards us. Typically, elephants don't move with such speed, but when they are in a rush or when disturbed, they can move quickly. After we spotted this one, it took some time for it to settle, and we decided to head back to the vehicle. Our safari lasted until 6 p.m. and our vehicle, a Mahindra camper, was able to carry 8 people. As an open vehicle, it made sightings easier and more enjoyable. Unlike the usual gypsy vehicles used for safaris in central Indian forests, which can carry 6 people, the camper allowed us to have a larger group. The safari, which started at 3 p.m., ended around 6 p.m., and we returned back to the resort to stay. The next morning, we began the next safari at 6 a.m. In the morning chill, amidst the dense fog of the forest, the first sighting of this safari was a spotted deer. As the fog cleared and the soft golden light started to emerge, a peahen was perched on the tree. Though it is a peahen, during the months of December and January, peacocks and their feathers shed, and in a single glance you may see something similar to this. In December, the weather starts to cool down, and the forest takes on a more serene atmosphere. A lot of people ask whether it's better to go for the forest safari in the morning or evening. Both times can be good for sightings, but generally, tigers are more likely to be active early in the morning. However, the chances of seeing bears and leopards are higher in the evenings. But the most important thing is that a safari is not just about the animals you see. It's about the experience of being in the forest. If you want to experience a proper forest trip, at least 2 or 3 safaris should be planned over 2 or 3 days. That way you can truly enjoy and explore the area. Next, we spotted a striped-necked mongoose, the largest mongoose species in India. This species is commonly found in the Western Ghats region. Yesterday, we saw a leopard, and today our target is to see its cubs. Generally, leopards prefer staying hidden in the trees, and it's not easy to spot them in this dense forest. With the rain, the grass has grown to a good height, making it even harder to see. While looking around the grass, we noticed a tiger on the side of the path. Although we saw several animals during the safari, the feeling of encountering the tiger is completely different. When we saw its face, it was clear that it was an older male tiger. Did you notice how its fur seemed to move like mist? This particular tiger, named Pimark, is famous male tiger in the Bandipur Mudumalai area. If you look closely at its face, you can see a mark near his jaw, resembling the mathematic symbol of pi. He's around 10 years old, which is quite old for a tiger. When he started moving, we could see the scar near his tail, likely from a territorial fight or encounters with other animals. The big cats have impressive quality, which is that they can cure their wounds by licking them. Did you notice his stomach? It almost looked like he had his meal either yesterday or today. The wound is likely a few days old, so the tiger would have mostly attacked some bigger animals and would have got wounded from their kicks. The tigers usually get wounded or attacked mainly due to the kicks from larger animals. Tigers are often found on the sides of the pond where there are larger spaces, especially during the dry seasons. That is why the drivers make sure to check those areas during the safari. Leopards, on the other hand, are more difficult to spot, as they tend to hide in the tree canopy. This particular spot in the forest does not have a tiger right now, but it's a home to many species of birds. Let's spot some birds during our trip right now. If a leopard is spotted, it usually triggers a continuous alarm call from the grey langur, which is a very alert animal. When the langur calls out, it is usually a sign that a leopard is nearby. So if we hear its alarm, we know that the leopard is the only potential threat. This is the streak-throated woodpecker. The male has a red crown on its head, while the female has a more muted, brownish color on its crown. Did you notice the birds perched on the tree branches while the woodpecker was working? These birds belong to the starling family. One of the most commonly recognized species in this family is the sunbird, known for its beautiful appearance and vibrant colors. They are often seen feeding on nectar, especially from flowers, and they are known for their distinctive long bills that can help them access the nectar. In these trees, on the right side, there is a pigeon, and on the left, you can spot a beater. There are many different types of beaters, but they're all beautiful to observe. The black and white bird you see is called the Senorus tit. This is how birds are usually seen in the forests, and they add a beautiful touch to the environment. If you enjoy bird watching, time seems to fly by. Though it's common to spot birds, the wild jungle fowl is often a rare sight. Many times, they are seen pecking at the ground foraging, but they usually stay hidden and are hard to catch on a camera. When we saw the jungle fowl in Assam, it had a better color shades and beauty. We then moved ahead as we heard the alarm call of the langur. We stopped the vehicle and noticed a leopard in the trees. However, because it was a bit far, it was difficult to spot clearly. In Bandipur, most forest safari goers who are fortunate enough to spot this leopard and its cubs have made the Bandipur safari famous, thanks to this family. This leopard was lying under the tree, but since it was further from the tree line, we couldn't capture it properly in our view. After we spotted the leopard, we heard the grey langur on the top of the nearby tree giving its alarm call. These sounds are made when they are alarmed, especially when a predator like the leopard is nearby. When the leopard started moving towards them, the langurs were clearly trying to alert others. As soon as the predator is near, the langur emits a loud call to signal the others. As we finished this trip through the Bandipur forests, we realized that the wildlife here truly tells its own story.